So everything put together, plugged in, ready to go. Now with the little speaker setup on here, little microphone setup, the radio is not going to work through the speaker. It'll work through all of this, and then you've got a little push to talk here. But again, not all the radios are going to have this as an accessory. Usually it's deluxe models, and this is a very inexpensive item. You'll see a lot of substitutes sold online because those are accessories. Other factory accessories, of course, are going to be the car charger or a larger speaker mic and other stuff. So with this unit in its charging cradle, which you could actually run a 12-volt system to, you just need to have it translated down to 10 volts coming into this. We can turn the radio on and we can use it in that setting. There's other adapters and other guys online that play around with these things that they can actually use this as a base station by just having an antenna plug roll into it. But you also have to realize that the electronics on this, they're not really, there's no cooling system, there's no cooling fans, anything like that. So if it's being used all day, every day, let's say you have power boosters coming through this or going out of it, you may wear these out. I mean, it's entirely possible. So if your communication system is going to depend on these, I suggest having some spares around. And not only is it the spare radio just to swap out the whole thing, but it gives you the opportunity of having something to cannibalize for parts just in case something becomes damaged. These are made in China, so obviously your spare parts are going to be coming from far away. And you may find your local radio dealer guy he does have spare parts available because he's cannibalizing them for parts. And that's entirely normal and appropriate when you've got something like this. Obviously, a lot of stuff comes in a kit. So hopefully we've gotten into this. There are a lot of buttons and a lot of functions and a lot of stuff to do with these radios. It's a very complex piece of equipment that you really want to have a specialist in your group master and then everybody else get relatively familiar with. I am not my group expert with these things, I'll tell you right now. And I am going to try and get that guy to come over and help out. And we're going to go over more details on these. But as you kind of get your little groups together and everything like that, you're probably going to end up doing business with somebody who's a specialist in getting all of these things together. And understand that there's business ethics involved with that. There's some legal issues with radio licensing. Although there is no legal restriction on owning it, there is no legal restriction on having it pre-programmed to work with whatever channels you choose to work with. I would urge you, however, do not interfere with any other lawful communications on these. Don't screw around with the hospital people. Don't screw around with the cops. You can actually go to prison for interfering with emergency services transmissions on these. So if you are going to have these programmed to emergency services channels, which I choose not to even have any of the program radios, none of my radios are going to be pre-programmed to emergency services channels. Some people I work with do things with the American Red Cross and disaster relief. We have the authority to transmit on those channels, and they actually do not mesh directly with emergency services. Somebody has to relay those messages. We don't talk directly to their dispatch on the emergency services. Our own dispatch talks to theirs, and then we rarely will communicate directly. And that is an issue because it's not a cell phone system. Everybody hears a conversation on a particular channel. There's a lot more to be said on these. There's several other people with very informative videos online. I suggest you look at them. I suggest you get in touch with somebody, preferably locally, who knows these radios relatively well, and learn them, because these are going to be they pretty much are a world standard for 2-meter, 4-meter radio. Again, there's some links in my description here on where you can buy these. I'm not going to guarantee it's the absolute lowest price, but it is a trustworthy seller. They are a regular business, and it's very competitive.